Alright, so with the transition of the national independence of 1975, the victorious Frelimo, founded on the 25th of the 6th of 1962, I believe the 6th is June, so the 25th of June 1962, it not only fought for the liberation of Mozambique and the Mozambican people from colonial exploitation, tribalism, racism, and even lawlessness, it immediately began to fight illiteracy and preserve the cultural diversity of the 32 ethnic groups of Portuguese Mozambique. The close connection between the education and culture was actually reflected in the creation of the Ministry of Education and Culture, or the Ministerio de Educação e Cultura, or the MEC. So the president of the Republic and Frelimo's leader, Samora Mushal, was aware of the great importance of the ministry for the development of the young state and the young people. So he actually put his wife Garcia at the head of the institution. Now, the GDR and much of the communist bloc, but this video is GDR, so the GDR had already shown solidarity with Frelimo at the Broad Popular Front. The GDR had already shown solidarity with Frelimo as a broad popular front during the time of the armed liberation struggle between the 25th of the 9th of 1964 or the 25th of September 1964. Do you remember Frelimo in September? And also provided extensive support for the young fledgling nation and communist soon to be aligned nation. This was part of the GDR's foreign policy objective of the anchoring of socialist states, especially on the African continent, and it got one hook, line, and sinker. So as early as the 1960s, the GDR was recognized by other African countries because of their quick history time ad lib. So there was a time where you could only actually notice one Germany. It was either West Germany or East Germany. And what East Germany was trying to do at this time in the 1960s, especially with Africa and the Cold War, was actually to get a lot of African states, especially on their side and for the communist cause. So they could be the real true GDR, because one must be the real Germany, right? No, I'm Germany. No, am Germany. No, we are both Germany, but separated by imperial powers. No, am the real Germany. So in addition to material solidarity, the GDR actually provided assistance in political education and even in training, as well as vocational and even university education. So the leadership of Frelimo was actually deeply rooted in the people and wanted to realize the goals decided by the party's Congress with the support of the GDR, or the Democratic Republic of Germany, or the Demokratische Deutsche Republik, or East Germany, but GDR. For both sides, economic, political, scientific, technical, and even scientific cultural cooperation meant a new territory on which to gain experience from both nations, but mostly from East Germany, because it is Africa in the 1970s. Not to be racist, but it is Africa in the 1970s. So after mutual visits from Chamorro Michel and even Eric Honecker, a treaty of friendship and cooperation between the GDR and the People's Republic of Mozambique and a program of long-term economic cooperation was concluded on the 24th of February 1979. More than 80 bilateral agreements were subsequently signed, and in Part 2, large agricultural and even industrial projects were actually launched. Some 7,200 experts, specialists, officials, teachers, and even technicians from the GDR worked in Mozambique between 1977 and as late as 1990. I wonder when we are going to get paid. Probably never. The state doesn't even exist anymore. From then on, the GDR supplied trucks, supported coal production in Motiza, which is somewhere in northeast Mozambique, almost on Rhodesia's border, and helped with the agricultural and even fishing sector of Mozambique. So in 1983 alone, about 1,000 GDR citizens were active in the specialist roles and other such stuff in Mozambique. Now, at the same time, must note this at the same time. So the work of the GDR cooperation and their Mozambican partners took place under the conditions of the murderous gangs, or the banditos armados, or the armed gangs, which were actually supported by South Africa and Southern Rhodesia. I will get to why South Africa wanted to destabilize Southern Africa and even parts of Middle Africa, but that is a video for another day. The gangs of Renimo, or the Resistencia de Nacional de Mozambique, or the National Mozambique Resistance, killed their workers, did some unpleasant things that rhyme with rape, kidnapping, murder, burning of cornfields, stuff like that. Um, but Freelemon was not on the good guy two shoes either, but I will discuss that in yet another video. Anyway, this cooperation actually extended to the GDR as well. So in the 1980s, thousands of Mozambicans came to work in the GDR as well. At the Strabfort, they opened up educational opportunities for around 800 to 900 Mozambican peoples. And I can't really jump off of a German word, so that's why. Anyway, people from 1980 to 1991. Yep, just before the collapse of the GDR. So the GDR never saw itself as the successor of former German states in Africa, whether it be Imperial Germany or 1933 Bad Germany in North Africa. So in Mozambique, there was evidence of its support for the liberation struggle and later the agreements of the exchange of goods, which brought advantages to both sides. It was not least due to the GDR in the Soviet Union and even Cuba that Frelimo declared itself an avant-garde Marxist-Leninist party in 1977, making the East African bloc, I guess, because there was Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, which was a federation, so they automatically became communist too. I believe Tanzania was on that side as well. Yeah, so basically East Africa, Southeast Africa, yeah, the East African bloc. So in 1983 at the Berlin Karl Marx Conference, the Mont Michel confirmed its agreement and its association with the socialist ideals and the socialist cause. However, it became increasingly difficult for the GDR to meet the country's expectations regarding material support and even economic support. So in addition, Angola, which had been supported in its development by the communist world, was seen as, well, the liberation struggle to next jump too. And it was still even on the way, and even in neighboring Namibia, which had sort of the SWAPO and the liberation struggle as well. And of course, which was obviously to direct the attention to Angola. So Mozambique kind of fell off because it won its liberation. So bye bye. Guten Tag. How do you say? Not au revoir. Um, no. Shit, I forgot how to say goodbye in German. In the MEC, we designed and developed the foundations for the new education and the new training system. The Sistema de Nacional de Educação, or the NEC, no, the CNE, enacted by Law 4-83, together with the Mozambican colleagues, and provided partial assistance in the training of teachers and teachers trainers and teachers trainers trainers and the trainers that teach the teachers and the teachers that train to teach that then train the teachers. Right. Bad gag. So Mozambique returned the favor by sending up to 21,000 workers from 1989 to 1990 alone, which helped the young African state to obtain foreign currency and the GDR to fill necessary vacancies in production facilities, although all good things must come to an end. From 1983 to 1984, the GDR's involvement with Mozambique. So from 1983 to 1984, the GDR's involvement with Mozambique actually declined a fair amount. So economic hardship forced the People's Republic of Mozambique to approach the West and sacrifice the results of the revolutionary struggle for financial and even economic support, which Africa, especially East Africa, needed in the late 1980s. Gotta see my brothers rise, you know? But even today, people in Mozambique still speak with great respect for the workers of the Comprestes or the Corrientes de la RND or DA. What? But even today, people in Mozambique still speak with great respect for the workers of the the Corporanes de RDA, or the development aid workers of the GDR. But many of the Mozambican contract workers that returned to their homeland in 1990 after the fall of the Berlin Wall would testify that there was a culture previously unknown to them, and they have still yet to be paid, even to this day, from a state which doesn't even exist anymore. So I guess it would fall on Germany proper to finally pay these Mozambican people their due wage. Their communist wage or their wage for inflation. All right, so when we say wage, do we mean the communist equivalent to the Deutsches Mark of the GDR, or do we mean to the Deutsches Euro? That is actually going to be interesting. But Germany has come a long way, and even though it recognizes the Holocaust, and it should, it must also recognize the Third World, from the Imperial Empire of Namibia and German Southwest Africa to Cameroon, to even the Cold War II Germanys that supported the South African government and even the Mozambican people's government. So anyway, I will leave you all with that. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all learned something. This one was a bit interesting for me because I'm projecting my voice for the first time ever, which is kind of cool. Also, I pretty much went down without not doing a lot of like stuttering. It was pretty good, honestly, pretty good. Honestly, it was pretty good. Now, anyway, I will say goodbye. Hope you all learned something. Enjoy. And if you see a MiG 24 in South Africa, that might be a Mozambican MiG. I actually want to do a series on African MiGs. So there might be a chance for me to talk about Mozambican MiGs in the future. But don't really hold that against me or to me. But I will try and do it. Anyway, guys, I would hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you next time. Remember, if you work, get paid, even if it's from a state that doesn't even exist anymore. Learn something.